Somewhere lost in the clouded annals of history lies a place that few have seen. A mysterious place called the Unknown.
Over the Garden Wall is an American TV miniseries broadcasted by Cartoon Network. Half-brothers Bert and Greg are introduced walking through a forest shrouded in mist, darkness, and mystery. The first figures encountered by the children are a woodsman warning them of a mystic beast roaming in the woods and a talking bluebird named Beatrice who instructs them to find a woman named Adelaide who can undo the curse on Beatrice and get the boys home. A confusing digestion for both the audience and characters of the show to believe in the fantastical qualities of the mysterious forest with elements such as talking pumpkin people, singing amphibians, and animated cloud people. To understand the plot and meaning of the show, one must understand the context and premise. Over the Garden Wall is an allusion to the first part of a 14th century epic poem, Dante's Inferno. The Inferno details the story of Dante journeying through hell, which is depicted as 9 different circles and accompanied by the poet Virgil. Here we can draw connections between Dante as Wirt and his companion Virgil as Greg. The progression of Dante, or Wirt's journey, is chronological as episode 1 represents the descent into the unknown, or hell. The second episode represents Limbo, the first circle, as the brothers discover a small village inhabited by pumpkin figures. Wirt finds that he can get accustomed to the life there and questions whether he can simply just exist there rather than figuring a way out of the unknown.
Maybe we'll just stay here in Pottsfield. It's nice here. I don't know.
Lust is the second circle. The third episode introduces a teacher yearning for her lost love.
And that no good, two-timing, low-down, handsome man of mine. Oh, Jimmy Brown, why did you have to leave me so?
The third circle is gluttony, represented by the occupants of a tavern Wirt and Greg come across. The inhabitants are heavily indulged by pleasures such as food, art, and song. The fourth circle is greed. Wirt and Greg meet a wealthy statesman who lives in a lavish mansion yet desires for more.
That day on, I was obsessed with the woman in the portrait. She consumed my every thought. I'd fallen in love.
The fifth circle of anger is represented by the conflict between the brothers and frog patrollers on a ferry boat ride. Dante's Inferno also depicted the fifth circle on a boat ride as Dante and Virgil argue about being transported across the river Styx. The sixth circle is heresy. The 7th episode of Over the Garden Wall illustrates elements of witchcraft and magic as a young woman is controlled by her aunt to the ringing of a bell. These characteristics are directly opposite to orthodox doctrine in line with the definition of heresy. The 7th circle is violence. This is represented by the behaviors of 2 warring bodies, the people of Cloud City and the North Wind. The 9th episode of the series is a flashback to Wirt and Greg's life before the descent to the unknown on the day of Halloween. Dante's Inferno characterizes the 8th circle to be resided by the fraudulent. Dressed in costumes and disguises, the characters represent fraud in their appearances. The last circle of hell is treachery. Comparatively, the last episode of Over the Garden Wall is this representation of treachery where our characters confront their deepest, darkest sins. Wirt lacking the ability to take care of his brother Greg.
It's my fault we ended up here. Everything's been my fault.
Greg in stealing the rock from a neighbor's garden.
I stole it, Wirt. I stole it from Mrs. Daniel's garden. I'm a stealer.
The woodsman turning lost children into the trees of the forest.
I didn't know.
And Beatrice cursing her family.
Admit to my family it's my fault they're bluebirds.
Just as Dante escapes hell, Wirt and Greg find their way out of the unknown and are transported back to their lives on Earth. The show epitomizes the ability of media to represent the complex and abstract in easier-to-swallow anecdotes. Audiences of all ages can be entertained by following the journey of Wirt and Greg without feeling an overbearing sense of confronting meanings of life, death, and the stages in between. Over the Garden Wall suspends a level of belief and allows the audience to indulge in a weird but interesting world and is just one way of attempting to interpret something we have no real perception of, the unknown.